Hello there, curious listeners. Welcome back to the Curious Kidcast, where we answer the questions that make you go, ooh, and sometimes I really should have paid more attention in science class. I'm Andy, and today I've got a question that's absolutely explosive, in the best possible way, not in the oops, I left the beans in the microwave too long way. This week's question comes from 9-year-old Mia from York, England, and Mia wants to know, how do fireworks make different shapes, colors, and patterns? Now, Mia sent us this question because last Bonfire Night, she was standing in her back garden eating a toffee apple that was so sticky it practically glued her teeth together when suddenly a massive heart shape appeared in the sky. She says she nearly dropped her apple in amazement, which would have been a tragedy because those things cost a fortune nowadays. Right, let's talk about fireworks. They're basically tiny, controlled storms of light and sound, which sounds dramatic, but it's true. People have been making them for hundreds of years, which means someone, somewhere, a very long time ago thought, you know what would be fun? Making things go boom in pretty colors. And honestly, that person deserves a medal because they were absolutely right. So here's the thing. Every firework you see in the sky started as a carefully built little package. Think of it like a present, except instead of socks or a book token from your gran, inside, there's science waiting to happen. Each firework has a few important bits, and I promise this won't get too technical because I can barely remember my own phone number, let alone complicated chemistry. At the bottom, there's something called a lift charge. That's the bit that goes whoosh and launches the whole thing into the air, kind of like when you sit on a whoopee cushion, but much more impressive. Then there's the shell, which is basically a round or tube-shaped container holding everything together. Inside that shell are what we call stars. And no, not the twinkly space kind, and definitely not the famous celebrity kind. These are small pellets that burn to make light and color. Think of them like tiny glowing marbles, except they're on fire, which, please don't try at home unless you want your parents to have a very stern conversation with you. Then, there's the burst charge, which is a special powder in the middle that makes the shell pop open and throw all those stars outward. It's like a piñata, but instead of sweets falling out, you get burning chemicals flying everywhere. Much prettier, slightly more dangerous. And finally, there's a fuse. A little slow-burning string that makes everything happen at exactly the right moment, because timing in fireworks is everything. It's like telling a joke. If you get the timing wrong, nobody laughs and you just stand there feeling like a potato. So here's what happens. The lift charge sends the shell flying up into the sky like it's late for a very important meeting with the clouds. While it's zooming upward, the fuse keeps burning away, thinking any second now. When the shell reaches the perfect height, the fuse finally reaches the burst charge, which explodes. In a safe, controlled way, obviously, we're not monsters. And all those stars get thrown outward like someone just opened a bag of crisps on a windy day. Then the stars burn in the air and make the shapes and colors you see. Magic. Well, not magic. Science. But honestly, science is basically magic that you can explain, so same thing really. Now, let's talk about colors, because this is where chemistry comes in. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you do homework. I mean, I could, but then you'd probably stop listening to this podcast and I'd be talking to myself, which I do enough of already. Chemistry is just the science of how different materials react when they get really, really hot. Red comes from something called strontium, which sounds like a robot's name but isn't. Green comes from barium, blue comes from copper compounds, and blue is actually one of the trickiest colors to get bright, which explains why you don't see as many blue fireworks as red or gold ones. It's the diva of firework colors. Yellow comes from sodium. Orange comes from calcium, which is also in milk. But please don't set fire to milk to see if it turns orange because it won't, and you'll just have a mess. And white, or bright silver, comes from metals like aluminum or magnesium, which burns super hot and bright, like when you accidentally look at a car's headlights and spend the next 5 minutes seeing spots and walking into things. The people who make fireworks mix these chemicals with fuels and binding materials so the stars hold together properly, fly out nicely, and burn in exactly the right color. It's like following a recipe, except if you mess it up, things explode. So, bit more pressure than making a Victoria sponge. Your Gran's jam recipe has nothing on this. Right, now we get to the really clever bit. How do they make shapes in the sky? Because if fireworks just threw stars out randomly, they'd only make round shapes, and that's boring. We want hearts and smiley faces, and hopefully one day someone will make a firework that looks like a dinosaur riding a skateboard, because that would be incredible. The main trick is where the stars are placed inside the shell. Imagine you've got a bowl, and you put marbles inside it in a pattern. Maybe a circle, or a smile, or a wonky giraffe if you're not very good at arranging marbles, and also not entirely sure what a giraffe looks like. When the bowl bursts, the marbles fly out in whatever pattern you made. Firework makers do the same thing with stars, except they're much better at it than you or me because they've practiced, and also, they probably know what a giraffe looks like. To make a ring, they place the stars in a circle inside the shell. To make a heart, they carefully arrange them in a heart shape. For a smiley face, they put stars and 2 dots for eyes and a curved line for a mouth. This takes serious skill and a lot of patience. I can't even arrange biscuits on a plate without it looking like they've had a fight, so I have massive respect for these people. They're basically the artists of the explosion world. Some shells even have layers, like a pass the parcel with multiple layers of wrapping paper, except instead of finding a rubbish plastic toy at the end, you find another explosion. Each layer has its own fuse, so they explode at slightly different times. That's how you get fireworks that show one pattern, then another pattern appears inside it a second later. It's like a surprise within a surprise, which is much better than when you get socks within socks at Christmas, which has happened to me and I'm still not over it. The size and speed of the stars matter too. Big stars burn longer and brighter, like that one friend who won't stop talking at parties. Little stars burn faster. If stars are thrown out quickly, you get a wide, sharp pattern. If they move slowly, the pattern looks softer, like a weeping willow tree, or like me trying to run for the bus. Speaking of which, some stars are made to leave glowing trails behind them, like a comet with a tail, or like a snail, but much faster and on fire. If every star has a tail, the whole shape gets these beautiful streaks of light. That's how they make chrysanthemums, which look like fuzzy flowers, or willows, which have long, drooping golden trails. Oh, and fireworks don't just do colors and shapes, they do sounds too, because apparently looking amazing isn't enough. Whistles happen when special tubes make air vibrate as the firework shoots through them, like when you blow across the top of a bottle, or when your baby cousin discovers the recorder and won't stop. Crackles come from tiny bits that burn in a popping way, like when you step on bubble wrap but louder and more fiery, and loud bangs. Well, those are made with quick burning powders that create a sharp explosion. All these sound effects use different chemistry from the colors, so designers can pick and choose what they want. It's like a buffet, but for your eyes and ears instead of your stomach. The best fireworks combine everything. One shell might burst into a ring of red, then have green stars that split into tiny gold crackles. Show designers plan the whole thing like a music concert, choosing combinations that tell a story. Slow gold willows for a calm moment, then fast red and blue bursts for an exciting finale. It's all carefully timed, often to actual music so everything matches up perfectly. Somewhere, there's a person with a computer and a playlist making sure the big boom happens right when the music goes dun dun dun. That person has the coolest job ever. Now, you might be wondering why some colors are brighter than others. Well, some chemicals are just easier to work with. Sodium makes brilliant yellow without complaining, but copper for blue is really tricky and needs very precise mixes and high heat. Basically, it's very fussy. That's why you see more reds, golds, and yellows than bright blues. It's not that blue fireworks don't exist. They're just harder to make properly, like trying to get your hair to look good in your school photo. Meanwhile, metals like aluminum and magnesium burn super hot and create brilliant white or silver sparks, which is why gold and silver fireworks look extra shiny and impressive. They're the show-offs of the firework world, and they know it. Quick, serious bit now. And I do mean serious, like listen to your parents serious. Fireworks are dangerous. Only trained professionals should set off the big ones. If you ever use small fireworks where it's allowed, like sparklers at Bonfire Night or New Year's Eve, make sure an adult is in charge, preferably one who knows what they're doing, and not just your Uncle Gary who says I've got this a lot but actually hasn't got this. Never touch old or broken fireworks and keep a safe distance. Fireworks are basically science and art mixed together, with a bit of danger thrown in to keep things interesting. To make different shapes, makers arrange tiny stars just so, decide which chemicals will create which colors, and control how fast or slow things burn. That careful planning and creative design is why fireworks can paint hearts, rings, and golden weeping willows across the night sky. Next time you watch a display, see if you can spot the different shapes and guess how they did it. Right, quiz time. I'm going to ask you 3 questions about fireworks, and you've got a few seconds to think about each one. No cheating by rewinding the podcast. I'll know. I have special podcast powers. Ready? Question 1. What chemical gives fireworks their red color? Is it strontium, barium, or copper? The answer is strontium, which sounds like a robot's name but isn't. If you said barium, that's green. If you said copper, that's blue. But nice try, you get a gold star for effort, not a red one though because we're out of strontium. Question 2. What do we call the small pellets inside a firework that burn to make colors? Are they called stars, marbles, or sparkles? They're called stars. Not space stars, not pop stars, not gold stars on your homework, just stars. Though marbles would have been a good guess because I did compare them to marbles earlier, so well done if you remembered that. Question 3. Which firework color is the trickiest to make bright? Is it red, blue, or yellow? It's blue. Blue fireworks are the fussy divas that need very precise chemical mixes and high heat, which is why you don't see as many of them. Yellow and red are much easier. They're the friendly, cooperative colors. Blue is high maintenance. How did you do? If you got all 3, well done. You're basically a firework expert now, and I'm slightly concerned about what you're going to do with this knowledge. If you got none, don't worry. You still learned loads today, and that's what counts. Plus, now you know that blue is difficult, so next time you see a blue firework, you can point at it and go, ooh, that's a tricky one, and everyone will think you're very clever. That's all for this episode of the Curious Kidcast. Huge thanks to Mia for the question. I hope you enjoy your next fireworks display even more now you know what's going on, and I hope you've learned to eat your toffee apple before the show starts. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends, subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and if you've got a curious question you'd like answered, head to our website at curiousKidcast.com. We love hearing from you, unless your question is, can I make my own fireworks? In which case the answer is no, and also please re-listen to the safety bit. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, never try to make your own fireworks. Leave that to the professionals who have insurance and know what they're doing. Bye!